How I built a modular wargaming board, part 4, the regular tiles. Now, whilst the sexy, beautiful tiles like this waterfall one there are the one that people are really interested in, you've got to have some tiles which have a little bit less on them. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you different examples of ways that I've flocked and created tiles. So let's get into it. So this is what I'm doing with a very standard tile. A lot of the tiles we're going to let the scatter terrain do the work, but we just need them kind of flocked. So this is watered down PVA glue, makeup brush to spread that across the rest of the tile. Nice and simple and being very liberal with the application of it. Show you on previous tiles, I've just thrown flock down, and that's just a mixture of 3 different flocks which I've chucked down, and that looks okay, that looks fine. But to make them, that's actually a very basic, that's just literally flocking it. So what I'm going to do with this one, this is the same kind of flock mix. I am going to apply this to around the edges of the tile. I'm being pretty loosey-goosey with this. And leave this large area in the middle with nothing on it. I'm just going to try and make sure the edges are done as much as possible. I will go over these again with all the tiles. With this area here, I'm going to use static grass applicator. You can just do flock tiles, but I quite like how this looks. So inside of the kind of, I think it's called the hopper, inside of the hopper here, I've got 4 different static grasses, and the idea is that by putting them on with a static grass applicator, you have a lot more texture with the thing. They tend to kind of stick upright rather than just fall flat. I picked this particular one up for, I think it was about £30 on eBay, including a bunch of static grass. So I don't think it's the best one in the world, but it's getting the job done. So here's an experiment I do with another tile. Now I play MESBG, which involves sometimes having an objective which you have to be a certain distance in. So for this one, in the center of it, I created a 3-inch radius circle, and I painted that with glue. And then on top of that, I used some of this Javis Battle Scene scatter stuff, and I just scattered that down across the center. The idea being that I could create a central objective of the tile, which you wouldn't have to measure or anything, because it would just be there on the board, kind of absolutely sorted. So once I'd got that down, I brushed all of the excess ballast off, and then I covered the tile in the rest of the tile in PVA glue. And I took the same blend of 3 different flocks, put them in a bag, and then shaped them up to get a nice flock to put down. And from here, it's very simple, just covered the rest of the tile in this mixture. Not much more to say here other than I'm chucking flock down on the tile, trying to not get it on the middle, trying to get it around the edges. And this is what it ended up kind of looking like. And already I wasn't particularly sure about it, but I carried on anyway. From here, I used a makeup brush just to get some of the excess flock off, because in a minute I'm going to be standing this up, and all of it's going to be falling off together. So trying to separate the flock from the ballast, so you can reclaim all of that flock, and then all of the ballast falls off over here. So it's a nice way just to kind of make things a bit cheaper. Now I decided that I wasn't happy with how this looked, so I added some extra glue and then chucked some more ballast down and just used it as a kind of a more stony tile. Next up, we've got this one. Now this is a tile in which I've taken a couple of gouges out of it, then I've added some static grass in this area here, and I've put 3 different rocks on. Now I'm not going to go into how I made the rocks. I have a video on how I make really simple scatter rocks, which I'll add a link to, which you can find above, and then put some soil type stuff down in a little thing there. And then with all of the tiles, what I've done with them is I have then sprayed the edges of them with spray adhesive, and then I've sprinkled on a lighter flock across the whole thing so they all match. Then to seal them, what I've done, seal everything down, I've covered them in isopropyl alcohol and watered down PVA, and then I've covered them in a matte varnish, and that has held them all in place really nicely. And there you have it. This is what they end up looking like. So yeah, the waterfall is the kind of the eye-catching one, but these normal tiles are going to be so useful for the gaming board, and some of them actually look pretty decent, I think. So that's how you make them. Like, comment, and subscribe.